When someone tells me that Todd McFarlane is their favorite Spider-Man artist, I show them this book. And we have the Amazing Spider-Man Essentials that I wish Marvel still made. And I love these things because I can look at issues of comics for a very cheap price. And unfortunately, they don't make them anymore. But that doesn't matter. What matters is I've sort of been struggling with who my favorite Spider-Man artist is. Because I've been reading a lot of Spider-Man lately. I'm really getting into Spider-Man. Spider-Man was always one of those characters that I sort of... I don't know. I always felt like he was just like not... He didn't really interest me that much. Because I'm a huge Daredevil fan. I'm a huge Punisher fan. I don't read as many mainstream comics as a lot of people do. I'm still kind of reading the classics. I'm going through the entire X-Men run with, Chris Claremont, John Byrne. And I'm also kind of getting into Spider-Man very recently. And this issue, to me, this is an issue I feel like Steve Ditko did to be like, Stan, like, take me seriously as an artist, as a creator. Because if you don't, I'm going to leave this book and I'm going to go do my own thing. And I feel like Stan Lee was always kind of like, I'm in control. You do as I say. And this felt like Steve Ditko's last effort to kind of deal with the situation in a very civil way. And you can tell by the amount of amazing hard work that went into this book. But this issue I sort of look at and it kind of solidifies to me like, this dude was like begging to be taken seriously as an artist. Because if you look at those early issues of Spider-Man, I always say Barry Windsor Smith is kind of, when you read those early issues of Conan, Barry Windsor Smith is growing as an artist on the page. And I mean, same thing with Ditko. I mean, Ditko is, if you look at that first sort of issue, it's of Spider-Man, it looks great. It's an amazing comic, but it's not as like creative. It's sort of a guy kind of figuring out things like how the actual art of comic books work. And by this point, he's there with like Jack Kirby, Wally Wood, Joe Kubert, like those guys. Like, I know Neil Adams was a bit later, but all the guys that you kind of think of as artists in comics. I mean, he was in Romita. Romita ends up obviously going on to do Spider-Man later. But let's go through this issue because it's been 3 minutes. I do apologize. I will put timestamps, I promise. But let's take just a quick look at this. And I mean, the first thing that you will notice when you look at this book is there's so much. You're given this task of you're telling a story of Spider-Man trying to get out of this structure. And he's thinking about the things, like he's about to give up. Again, I hate to look at this like in a very in an allegory way, but it's like, I feel like it's Steve Ditko being like, dude, Stan, like I'm trapped here and I'm trying to show you, like, take me more seriously as an artist. Take me more seriously as a partner. And, Spider-Man is like thinking about all the things in his life. Like he's about to give up, right? And I feel like this is enough evidence to prove to people that Steve Ditko had a lot more to do with Spider-Man than just drawing Spider-Man, in my opinion. This is a very powerful book, an amazing book. And you see this amazing artwork of the storytelling of Spider-Man trying to get out from this structure. And it's like, if you gave this to any other artist, even if you gave this book to Steve Ditko, probably 10 issues before this, or 12, 15, whatever, I don't think Steve Ditko would have been able to draw this as well as he did. And this was like that moment. It's like when you think about like Orson Welles or something creating Citizen Kane. I mean, that's like the moment where Like, oh, let's take this guy seriously. This is, in my opinion, the Citizen Kane of storytelling in comics. It is so beautiful how Ditko does it. Because I guarantee you Stan went, let's say Stan even gave this to him, but let's say Stan is telling the truth and he used the Marvel method. Um Spider-Man's trapped under something he's trying to get out of it. And Steve Ditko's like, oh, okay. How the fuck am I going to tell a story this way? And Steve just knocks it out of the park. And not only does he knock it out storytelling wise, it is so beautiful to look at. We're going to get to the next page when he finally lifts the full thing. And to me, this might be the greatest moment in comics. And it's a damn shame that Steve Ditko had to, I don't even know if he fought to get the acknowledgement that he deserved. You know, everybody was like, oh, John Romita Sr. And I love John Romita Sr. And trust me, I do. I think he's one of the most amazing artists ever. And that includes all art, fine art, whatever. But man, I mean, just look at how beautiful that water, like dripping on Spider-Man, and just he's pushing this up, and those arms just like they're tightening up. They're just you're getting that tightness of that arm, and you're seeing the movement of the anatomy. It's such beautiful stuff. And I honestly don't think that any other artist would be able to do it as beautifully. And I mean, look at that. Look at how beautiful that looks. My goodness. Such an amazing, brilliant artist Ditko was. I mean, it's a shame. It's an absolute shame. I mean, imagine owning the original of that. I'm so happy that I have it in black and white. I know it's been inked over. I wish I could see it in what it would look like in, in pencils. I don't even know if that even exists. But imagine being Stan Lee and getting this. Man. So Spider-Man finally breaks out. And then we get this, again, let's look at that early stuff with Ditko. I mean, it's just, whatever. It's just like, Spider-Man's far away, and he's using some interesting, he's doing like an action scene there, and it's far away. And then you get this, and you just look at this amazing storytelling and these different shots, and like he's figured out like what needs to be close, what needs to be far away. He's figuring out the action. He's figuring out what needs to be in the foreground and the background. He's adding more things. I don't know if he's getting more time at this point, or probably not. He's probably getting less time. And it's just unbelievable just to watch the growth of an artist like Ditko. And I've said this about Jack Kirby, and the same thing goes for Steve Ditko. Every single panel is dynamic. It's like they're doing animation. It's such beautiful stuff. And I mean, look at he's coming out of that water there, and the water that's dripping, and I love the way he does the water, because he does water in a very it's very thick. It feels like a very thick feeling to it. It's just unbelievable. What an amazing artist. And I mean, look at his, he's, and the thing is, he's kind of doing like this, kind of like, sometimes it feels like a very noodly feel to Spider-Man, but when he gets those muscles tightened, my goodness. And I mean, look at that. He's walking away, and it's sort of, the darkness and the dreary feeling, again, Marvel was always kind of like the light, happy, comic book company, and you're getting this darkness on the page. It's beautiful, beautiful stuff. Man, I adore Ditko. I really do. and sometimes I kind of forget about him. I'm working on a top 100 list, and I forgot Steve Ditko on the list. I went, "Are you a fucking idiot? You can't leave Steve Ditko off of this list." And you're right, I can't. I'm saying this to myself. I'm right, me. I'm right, me. You cannot leave Steve Ditko off this list, and I refuse to. Dude is unbelievable. I mean, look at those expressions and just, I mean, the foreshortening and the backgrounds and even like the clothing. Like Peter Parker is, people always talk about how John Romita, made Peter Parker more handsome and more what, but it's like there's this amazing personality going on with the growth of the character, and Ditko's like trying to tap into it. You can tell this is a guy who's in love with this art form, is in love with this story, in love with this character, and in a few issues, that's going to be taken away from him. And I mean, he was bitter, and I don't blame him for being bitter. The amount of work and the effort that he's putting into it. I mean, look at the stuff like the drapery. It's just, man, just beautiful, beautiful stuff. And yeah, and then we get into Kraven the Hunter. So yeah, man, let's just take a look at that real quick. I'm gonna bring this up as I finish up my video, and if everything I say is boring, I apologize. Take a look at that while I'm talking. Steve Ditko, man, just what an amazing artist. It's tough when I think about my favorite Spider-Man artists, but I don't. I mean, I think this kind of solidifies it for me that he's definitely in my top 2 favorite Spider-Man artists of all time. And I mean, you go on and you get Romita, who does some great stuff. I mean, amazing stories. I mean, the death of Gwen Stacy. And is this all Ditko? How many issues did Ditko do? This is definitely Romita. But I mean, this just night and day, But yeah, I don't know. There was no Spider-Man comic book felt the same or feels the same once Ditko leaves. It's like he becomes a new character. And I think that definitely showed the importance of the artist to comics, because the character is defined just as much by the story as it is by the artist. And it feels like you kind of get this new kind of character. But the way that, Ditko draws a very, like, I don't know, just like there's so much detail in a place where I feel like Romita didn't really focus on that detail, and it kind of, I don't know, they're both brilliant artists, but anyways, that's my feeling. I'm sorry I could go on about it, and kind of, I don't know if I'd end up in the right place, but anyways, that is my opinion on Steve Ditko and Spider-Man. I'm going to cover Romita issues at some point. Probably going to do the death of Gwen Stacy at some point. I'm going to do it in these Marvel Essentials because I like the black and white more. I'm sure there are tons of people who covered it in color, but anyways, thank you guys so much for watching. I appreciate you, and I will see you in the next video where maybe we'll do another Spider-Man book. I don't know.